Is the abyss truly a dead zone? For centuries, humanity looked down into the black waters and assumed the extreme depths were a barren wasteland. We believed that the crushing pressure and freezing temperatures would destroy the very cells that make up living things. Descending into the silent void. We assumed that bone would shatter, shell would dissolve, and the biological processes essential to life would simply cease to exist. We projected our own surface-dwelling fragility onto an environment that operates under entirely different, brilliant rules. Our assumptions were fundamentally flawed. Difficult. In 1960, two intrepid explorers sealed themselves inside a tiny bathyscaphe, plunging nearly. They journeyed into a realm that scientific consensus deemed completely uninhabitable and hostile. Absolute, crushing darkness. Their terrifying descent into the Mariana Trench was our very first glimpse into an ecosystem that defies our terrestrial logic. Now, let's dive into the data and uncover the reality hidden in the deep. To understand the sheer magnitude of the Mariana Trench, we must examine the macro-level architecture of our planet. To understand the sheer magnitude of the Mariana Trench, we must examine the macro-level architecture of our planet. The surface of the Earth is not a static shell, but a dynamic puzzle of massive tectonic plates. These colossal slabs of rock float continuously upon a churning, superheated sea of liquid magma. Visualizing the tectonic movement. This dense Pacific tectonic plate, heavy from millions of years of aging, eventually collides with the younger Philippine plate. The resulting impact is catastrophic. Instead of crashing upward to form mountain ranges, the older, denser Pacific plate is forced violently downward. It subducts directly beneath its neighboring plate, plunging relentlessly back into the Earth's molten mantle. This geological destruction bends solid rock layers, tearing open a massive scar across the ocean floor. This terrifying subduction zone forms a trench so incomprehensibly deep that Mount Everest could be dropped inside it, a chasm of unimaginable scale. The physical forces at work within this dark rift are among the most destructive anywhere in the natural world. As the heavy ocean floor is dragged violently down into the boiling magma below, vast portions of it melt. This superheated, highly pressurized material eventually bursts back out through the weakened crust as highly explosive volcanoes. This continuous, brutal cycle of structural destruction and fire. We are observing planetary recycling. The Pacific plate flowing into our trench is 170 million years old. It formed when the supercontinent Pangaea first began to break apart, and it now faces total annihilation. mapping the deep scars. The trench is a living engine. Deep within this scar, hydrostatic pressure multiplies exponentially, compressing water to a point that easily warps solid steel. Liquid carbon dioxide erupts from ancient fissures, kept from vaporizing solely by the crushing weight of the water column. Strange, bubbling thermal vents. We intuitively view such volatile geological activity as entirely antithetical to biology, assuming it creates a completely sterile environment. However, these violent tectonic rifts and scorching thermal vents are complex chemical reactors, believed to hold the This thin layer of surface water supports the vast majority of life on Earth. Penetrating tropical sunlight powers the critical biological process we know as photosynthesis. Sunlight piercing deep blue water. We must go much deeper. As we leave the euphotic zone, the water rapidly absorbs the remaining solar radiation. We are entering the twilight zone, a massive mesopelagic layer stretching far below us. Fading light, descending deeper. Here, in the crushing darkness, millions of tiny jaws snap at the microscopic bounty. They transfer immense amounts of carbon from the surface down into the deeper waters. As the ambient light fades completely, we witness the mesmerizing emergence of bioluminescence flickering in the dark. Bioluminescent flashes in darkness. Welcome to the Midnight Zone. 1 kilometer down, we pass the threshold into the perpetual blackness of the bathypelagic. The temperature stabilizes near freezing, while the hydrostatic pressure reaches truly dangerous, lethal levels. To human eyes, this environment appears as a terrifying void, but to the creatures adapted here, it is absolute, crushing, cold blackness. How do they navigate darkness? The barrel-eye fish looks upward through its transparent skull to spot prey silhouetted above. A glowing lure dangles. Evolution demands radical biological solutions. In an environment where meals are scarce, expending energy to chase prey is inefficient. Any smaller creature drawn to the light is instantly consumed by massive, interlocking jaws. Jaws snap in total darkness. The deepest waters post a phenomenon marine biologists call abyssal or deep-sea gigantism. The colossal squid, rarely seen by human eyes, grows to massive, unbelievable proportions here. Growing larger provides a distinct evolutionary advantage in the extreme cold and high pressure. A massive body mass radically slows down the animal's metabolism, allowing it to survive for agonizingly long periods. With food spread incredibly thin across vast distances, predators must maximize every single opportunity. The bizarre pelican eel features an unhinging jaw and an expanding, balloon-like stomach cavity. It is capable of swallowing other marine organisms that are physically larger than itself. We cross another invisible boundary. Plunging past the midnight zone, we finally enter the profound depths of the abyssopelagic. We cross another invisible boundary. Plunging past the midnight zone, we finally enter the profound depths of the abyssopelagic. Cold currents sweep the seafloor. Athan. sifting through the marine sediment. What happens to the giants? Occasionally, the massive carcass of a whale plummets through the zones to the bottom. A feeding frenzy in darkness. We approach the Hadal zone. Below 6,000 meters, we officially enter the hadalagic zone. This is the realm of the deep ocean trenches, including the massive Mariana Trench. The environment here is so extreme that traditional, gas-filled biological structures simply cannot function. Fish with swim bladders would be instantly crushed by the immense, thousands of atmospheres hydrostatic pressure. To survive the underworld, Hadal organisms must utilize specialized proteins and cellular structures that resist being compressed into oblivion, into the deepest, darkest trench. Life bends to the pressure. The Mariana snailfish is currently recognized as the deepest living vertebrate known to science. Unlike the armored monsters of our imagination, it has evolved a fragile, translucent, gelatinous body. Its internal fluids are highly concentrated with pezolites, special organic molecules that prevent cellular collapse. Rather than fighting the crushing forces of the deep, the snailfish has evolved to let the pressure flow through it. The deep sea remains Earth's last frontier, and in this crushing darkness, the ghostly snail If they were brought to the surface, their delicate cellular structures would literally melt away. They are prisoners of the deep, perfectly locked into the most hostile habitat on Earth. Yet, within this high-pressure prison, they move with a graceful, effortless fluidity that defies belief. What we perceive as a terrifying, crushing death sentence is, for them, why do we fear them? When we look at the exaggerated features of abyssal creatures, our primal instincts scream danger. This is a psychological illusion. These animals are not nightmare fuel designed to terrify us in the dark ocean depths. They are the exquisite results of millions of years of relentless, unforgiving, deep-sea evolutionary pressure. What we misinterpret as terrifying ugliness is actually the pinnacle of biological efficiency and anatomical optimization. To survive in a realm completely devoid of solar energy, a larger body mass drastically reduces the metabolic rate and conserves incredibly precious thermal energy. But the deepest, darkest volcanic trenches hide an entirely independent, localized engine of biological creation, vents spewing black chemical smoke. The discovery of hydrothermal vents. At the bottom of the abyss, tectonic friction rips open the Earth's crust, exposing magma. These towering chimneys spew hydrogen sulfide, a chemical compound that is highly lethal to us. Boiling, toxic mineral towers. Life thrives in the poison. Instead of fleeing this toxic environment, vast colonies of specialized microbes have embraced the chemicals. They absorb the dissolved hydrogen sulfide and use the thermal energy to synthesize organic matter. This miraculous, alien process is called chemosynthesis, and it completely rewrites the rules of biology. Here, life draws its fundamental power not from a distant star, but from the beating, volcanic heart of the Earth itself. These chemosynthetic bacteria form the absolute foundation of a thriving, hyperdense, deep-sea biological community. Giant tube worms, stretching meters long, harbor these bacteria inside their bodies in perfect symbiosis. Blind crabs and pale, ghostly shrimp swarm the vents, feeding directly on the microbial mats.
Fear is replaced by awe.
These creatures are not the horrors of the abyss, waiting to drag sailors to their doom. They are resilient pioneers,
Conquering extreme pressure, absolute darkness, and toxic chemistry with breathtaking elegance. By anatomizing our nightmares, we discover a profound biological truth. Life is far more creative and enduring than we ever dared to imagine.
For centuries, we stared into the vast oceanic void and saw only our own reflections of fear. We populated the darkest depths with imaginary leviathans and projected our terrestrial anxieties
Onto the unknown. But as our probes pierce the midnight zones and illuminate the trenches, the reality is far more beautiful. Us. When we look past our primal dread, we realize that the Mariana Trench is an incredible testament to the submersible ascends slowly. The darkness that once terrified humanity now beckons as the final unexplored frontier on our blue planet. There are still thousands of deep-sea species waiting in the freezing shadows, carrying secrets we cannot fathom. They might hold the keys to new medical breakthroughs, or answer how life began in the primordial oceans. Every descent into the abyssal plains fundamentally rewrites our understanding of what it means to truly survive on this Earth.
returning to the sunlight.
The deepest place on Earth is not a dark grave. Our planet contains multitudes of hidden worlds, and the abyss is simply the most magnificent one we have yet to fully understand.